All right, we go now to this story. President Cyril Ramaphosa suspending South Gauteng Prosecutions Head Advocate Chauke pending an inquiry into his fitness to hold office. He faces several allegations, including his decision not to prosecute former crime intelligence boss Richard Mdluli on charges of murder. In 2023, Newzroom Afrika Stephen Grootes spoke to Chauke about the raft of allegations against him exposed by the NPO Open Secrets.
Firstly, in your communication with us, you said that you have a long unblemished track record with the NPA. That's what you say in your formal communication. Is that your belief, despite everything said about you by Open Secrets and some other people, your track record is unblemished?
I believe so, Stephen. And actually, I listened and I saw the program of the last 2 weeks. Because Open Secrets, as they came there, I heard from you introducing my name. And that's the first thing that caused me to be surprised about it. But in any case, we can continue with my response. Because I can tell you if there was anything wrong with me in the NPA or in my career, members of the public and you yourself would know. And you, I understand you also have got the legal background, you would know that when somebody comes with allegations against somebody needs to respond, other than just being ambushed and his name being blemished there outside there unfairly so, Steve. Let me say that.
Okay, just in case you were wondering, I don't have a legal background, but anyway. 3 years ago, there was a decision made in the case around Imalula. He's a police officer accused of torture. You withdrew the charges against him as part of an agreement. It's been described as a gentleman's agreement. And this was to allow Imalula, so you withdrew the charges to allow him to bring an application to drop the charges. You know the case that I'm talking about, right?
I know the case that you're talking about. I'm surprised that you're talking about me withdrawing the charges, and the charges have never been withdrawn. It was the issue of when they should make first an appearance in court. And that was before the issue of withdrawal does not even arise.
Okay. The deputy head of the NPA, Advocate Rodney de Kock, you know him, of course. He said this in a court document about you. Advocate Chauke exceeded his powers in agreeing to this since a prosecution may only be withdrawn on compelling grounds. Isn't that your superior in the NPA rebuking you for your conduct for a decision you made?
Yeah, no, it's my superior. There might be a difference of opinion between me and him in terms of what you're reading there. But I didn't take that as a rebuke because in practice, as we work, we might see things differently. And if your supervisor says, this is how I would have done it, I'll always accept it. But that he rebuked me and I don't think that's the correct way of saying.
He says you exceeded your powers. That sounds like a rebuke to me, if I may say. No,
in practice, when they say you exceeded your powers, it depends on the interpretation of what is an issue there. Remember, Stephen, it's if representations are made to me, and I say this is how I'll do it, and then somebody makes a representation to him, and they says this is what I think should do. You could not do it this way. That's how I'm referring to. Now you're referring to it as a rebuke, but if you correct each other in a work environment, there's no rebuke that happens within the work environment, especially in the NPA.
Well, the NPA is a hierarchical organization. There are people at the top, there are people in the middle, there are people who make decisions lower down. This person was your superior. He didn't just say you made the wrong decision, he said that you exceeded your powers.
That's what I'm saying, that if that's how you read it, that's what he had indicated in the letter that you're reading. But I'm saying I did not exceed my powers. I acted within the realms of what I understood then was my powers. And then I responded accordingly. Now, once the decision is made by him, that this is what should happen. If I do something contrary to that would be me exceeding my powers by trying to change his decision. And that's how you should read the context of that letter.
Okay. There's another case you were involved in, the Richard Mdluli case. I mean, we've all heard of the Richard Mdluli case over the years. In 2014, you withdrew charges of murder, kidnapping and assault. You took that decision, right?
Yes.
And what happened after that?
You must understand, in the work environment, I then take a first decision. These cases are allocated to prosecutors, and that Richard Mdluli case that you're referring to was allocated to 3 prosecutors who were doing that case. And once that case was on the roll and representations were made to me, I had to make a decision based on representations. Yes. If that's what you call my decision, of course, you're right. Finally, that's my decision. The decision of any prosecutor becomes my decision in the final analysis, yes.
Okay, and the High Court ruled the decision was wrong?
Which High Court?
The High Court in Joburg, and then the Supreme Court of Appeal also said the decision was wrong.
No, where did you get that?
Freedom Under Law went to court in the Richard Mdluli matter. The charges were reinstated. You were given 2 months to decide whether to reinstate them, and you reinstated some of them, but not the murder charge. Isn't that what happened?
Yes. Yes, that's the decision that I made, which was confirmed by the SCA. Now, I'm saying, when we say that the court said my decision was wrong, which court said my decision was wrong?
Well,
because the SCA did not say my decision. No, let me finish talking. The SCA judgment did not say that Chauke's decision was wrong. The SCA said that my decision can be reviewed by the NDPP. And the NDPP then reviewed my decision and then still agreed with the decision which I have made. And the courts agreed with that. And Mdluli went for trial and was convicted.
Well, the fact that he was convicted, doesn't that suggest that it was wrong to withdraw the charges in the first place?
No. No, you're mixing your issues as well. Mdluli was charged with murder amongst many charges. Attempted murder and defeating the edge of justice and the like. The discussion that is under, which was under review, it was the murder charges. And the murder charges that I withdrew, and the inquest was held, and thereafter they went to the SCA, and back from the SCA I still made the same decision. And that's the decision which prevailed.
Didn't your boss, Advocate Shamila Batohi, didn't she write to you about this? Didn't she request an explanation?
No, she requested me an explanation in so many hosts of cases, so many of them. Mdluli's case is one of them.
So she asked you for an explanation of many of the decisions that you made?
Precisely, because of you members of the media and the civil society organization making all sorts of things and the like. Once she gets that into her attention, she must ask me to explain, and that's what I did.
Was she happy with your explanation?
That you might probably have to ask Advocate Batohi. If you ask me that she's happy, I can respond on her behalf and say, yeah, she's happy, because you're asking me.
Okay. Then there's the Brian Hlongwa case. Now, this is a complicated case. He was accused of receiving money in exchange for a massive tender in the Gauteng Health Department in 2006. The report went to the NPO and it went to your office in 2011, and it took 10 years to make a decision about whether to prosecute. Can you explain to us how it can take 10 years to make a decision on whether to prosecute someone for a claim like that?
Where do you get that it took 10 years from my office? That you got from Open Secrets as well. Because that's the narrative that you have always been having. Let me tell you the facts now. To the extent that members of the public and you yourself can get schooled on that. That case came to me in 2011 or 2012. That's correct. And 2 years thereafter, that case was removed from me to the national office of the then NDPP in the 2015-2016, who was Sean Abrahams. And that case was still there in his office until the appointment of Shamila Batohi when she took office. And that case was returned back to my office. That was in 2018-2019. So your narrative that this case was with me for almost 10 years before that was on the roll, it's factually wrong and malicious.
Okay, so you said it went to the national office and they're the ones responsible for the delay. Would that be the right reading of it?
Exactly. That is the journalist, if you had done your homework, you would have found out exactly that's what happened, and this is what I'm saying.
It must have been quite frustrating for you to know about this case and to know that nothing was happening for so long. I mean, you had made...
No, it was not frustrating. In the realm of our work, Stephen, there are cases that take easy to make decisions within a month or 2 months. There are those who take 2 years. There are those who take 4 or 5 years, and that. So, depending on the circumstances of a particular case, you would say whether it's long or not. In the case of Brian Hlongwa that you have raised, of course, it's long, but you need to understand what are the delays attended to that the case was not on the roll timelessly. But to attribute that to Chauke, that's where you're wrong. And the narrative from Open Secrets and everybody there, it's wrong. And that is, I rebuke that and reject that with content.
Okay, so you did nothing wrong in the Brian Hlongwa case at all. It was all the National Office of the National Prosecuting Head.
Of course, nothing wrong that I've done. And once the case was brought back to my office, we have looked at it and we arraigned him. He's now on trial.
Okay.
That's why we can discuss the Hlongwa matter to that extent, because the case is on the rolls on trial. Anything more than that, I don't think is in a better space that we can discuss that.
Okay. There have been other claims made about you, and while you're here, let's just give you a chance to respond to them. You run the National Prosecuting Authority in South Gauteng, so for a lot of people that basically means Joburg. Your wife is also a prosecutor, Advocate Phumeza Fatshane. That's right, isn't it? I've got that right?
No, let's forget about my personal life, Stephen. Let's respond to what the allegations were against me about my work and decisions that I make. Take out my personal life out of this thing. I think in a world and in a wisdom, let's take my personal life out of this thing.
But it's not just your personal life.
Fatshane, if you need to speak to Advocate Fatshane, you can arrange an interview in her own space and let her answer for herself and the like. But as I say, stay away from my personal life.
Well, sir, I'm afraid this is also about your professional conduct, because she reported to you directly as a prosecutor in Johannesburg. She reported directly to you. Is that a fact?
The fact that I'm a DPP and all the chief prosecutors and deputies report directly to me, that is a fact, yes.
So, I mean, it wouldn't be allowed.
She was not appointed by me. She was appointed by the NPA. To get it right, and let's say, as I say, let's not get into my personal life, Stephen. Let's remain to my professional life as the DPP.
I put it to you, sir, that
you can't justify you encroaching on my personal life because I'm here with you now.
I put it to you, sir, that it is absolutely about your professional conduct, to have a situation, to tolerate a situation, to allow a situation where your spouse actually reports directly to you. You allow that to happen. It wouldn't happen. I mean, I'm not aware of it happening anywhere else in the NPA.
You need to ask that, Stephen. You need to ask that from the NPA, which appointed it, not from me, who is the supervisor. You must ask that from the NPA, which appointed it, and ask them whether that was right or wrong. As I say, it's not the first time in the history of everybody in South Africa that they would work where their spouses are working. Now you want to make Helen all about this, which is unfair and which is uncalled for.
Advocate Patohi intervened. She suspended her, didn't she? Because she felt that it was improper.
No, she did not suspend her because she's my wife. She suspended her because of the allegations that were made about her, about their professional conduct, which has nothing to do about me and the marriage.
Okay. We understand, Open Secrets has said, that there's an investigation by the National Prosecuting Authority into your conduct. I don't know if it's an investigation or an inquiry or what it is. Is that correct? Is there some kind of investigation or inquiry by the NPA into you?
No, Stephen, I would have thought you as a journalist, you had your colleague there, Colin Gambi, who called the NPA, and Mdluli was there for almost 30 minutes with colleague Gambi, and he was responding about those things from the NPA. Now, if you ask me about the NPA, the investigations, what they're doing about me and all sort of things, you are asking the wrong person. You should probably be recalling Mr. Mdluli as a spokesperson of the NPA to come and give you that. But I think that has been done because he was there with your colleague, Colin Gambi. And I was also surprised that this narrative still goes on and on when the NPA has explained itself more and more about my situation and then within the NPA.
Well, how did you feel when you found out that, I mean, we understand that there is some kind of investigation or inquiry. Are you saying that's not the case at all?
No. People being investigated, it's a natural course. The post that I hold here, if there are allegations that are made against me, my superiors, the NDPP and the COC and everybody, they should investigate because there are allegations and I must respond to them and they make decisions. There's nothing wrong with that. If I take issue about being investigated, then I'll not be realistic because the nature of my work and the work that I do will suggest that people will come with allegations, come with narratives, particular narratives, and my bosses must investigate them and see whether there is substance or not.
I mean, I would be horrified.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I would be horrified if it turned out that someone here was investigating me. I mean, I'd be horrified. Were you not surprised? How did you react when you found out?
No, Stephen, no, I'm not horrified. I'm not even surprised. In fact, I welcome that once people come with nonsense about me and all sort of things, the NPA gets to investigate and then it gets me to respond and whatever. That's the nature of the work that I do.
So it's the nature of the work that you're being investigated?
Yes. Even now, the NDPP herself and everybody can tell you that allegations will be made against them and whatever. And whether the executive authority, the minister or the president will have to investigate and all sorts of things. So there's nothing wrong with that.
So no investigation is going to find any wrongdoing on your part?
I can tell you without a fear of any contradiction that there's nothing that is going to be found that I did anything wrong.
I understand that because of the court in which you're operating, so the High Court in Johannesburg, it's a busy court. A lot of cases come through which will be quite contentious. And I understand that the person in your position is probably always going to have questions asked about them. I understand all of that. It still surprises me slightly, if I may say. Well, let me put it to you. Are you surprised that so many claims are made against you by organizations like Open Secrets? Some of these are politically contentious cases. You've played quite a key role in them at times. At times, maybe blame has been ascribed to you wrongly. But it still seems interesting that so many people seem to believe that you are not conducting yourself correctly.
No, but that is perception, and perception from particular groupings and whatever, which want cases to be decided in their own way or in their own favor. There's nothing surprising about it. That, of course, for the simple reason that you are saying, I'm responsible in an area where it's contentious and whatever. The politics and what sort of things, it will happen. And you find things that the narratives will come out there and the like. The issue is, those narratives, they confirm that the facts. Give them the cases, let them give you the cases and say, this case was supposed to be decided this way. We decided that way because he is incompetent or something like that. You will never find one. Because my competency is beyond reproach, that I can tell.
Okay. Whatever investigation they may be into, I presume has a timeline. I mean, they can't keep you dangling forever. Do you expect them to come to some sort of conclusion in a year or 6 months? I mean, if it were me, I would demand that they give me a 3-month timeline or whatever. I mean, otherwise I would take action myself. I would probably go to court. Are you going to do something like that?
Oh, no, Stephen, put it this way. If you know that you have been investigated for the past 7 years, 8 years, for another 10 years, or 4 months or 5 years for them to investigate does not mean anything to me. Even if they get to say it's another 6 months or 7 years or whatever, it doesn't matter. But what matters is, of course, like you say, things need to be finalized. We can't keep on hampering on one thing over and over again. But I believe in the space, and the NDPP and my bosses and the minister and they are aware of these things, that what they do to persons like me and the like. And I think they are within their right to consider these things. And then I don't blame them for taking their own time. But at the same time, I accept that they will have to make a decision sooner or later. When and how, please take it up with them.
Do you believe that
Yes.
Do you believe that they support you staying in this position then? I mean, they haven't, as far as I know, taken formal action against you apart from the investigation. Do you believe you have the full support of the National Prosecuting Authority, the National Director of Public Prosecutions?
No, I've got no doubt that I've got the support of the organization and the National Director and the Minister and everybody out there. If there's anything that you guys in the media and the civil society organizations see that they are not supporting me, please help me to convince them to support me, Stephen.
Andrew Chauke, Advocate Andrew Chauke, the Director of Public Prosecutions in South Gauteng for the National Prosecuting Authority.
Yes, Stephen, I just convey to Open Secrets as well that in future they must get the facts and don't misuse their closeness with people who used to work for the NPA, and then they join them, and the next thing they come up with all these narratives because they have been working for the NPA. Just correct them and tell them then they must stop this behavior. It's uncalled for and it's very bad for the society.
Well, sir, if I may say, I mean, I'm aware of who you're referring to. I'm aware of the individual. I think I am. But they also, on the opensecrets.org.za website, they also refer to a response from your spokesperson. It's a very full report. I presume you would have complained to them if you were unhappy with what they had said before.
The NPA, as I understand it, the NPA has filed a complaint to them about the conduct of that individual. And I've got no reason to doubt it when the NPA informed me that they have complained to Open Secrets about the conduct of that individual.